Hello, YouTube. Welcome back. A little bit different today. We are going to be doing some discussions instead of booster packs. Nate and John here with Darren again to give us some of that real Magic player perspective.
I mean, we're real
Analysis.
Magic players.
Yeah, I mean, technically we play Magic, but
We're
Darren
going
really,
into some deep analysis here.
Yeah, this is not your basic level analysis. This is people who've really played some Cube and some EDH.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna dive into that in just a second. Before we do, though, I don't want to feel like everybody was totally bamboozled. So,
Are we open Core 20 or Core 19?
this is a Core 19 pack.
Okay, that you know what?
I have a whole bunch of these, which I'm doing on our Instagram channel at BearClawMTG, which you can get from the description of the video. Let's see. We have Fraying Omnipotence. I don't know if you can focus on that.
We can post a picture. It'll
yeah,
be great.
it's bad. It's not good. And no foil. So there you go. There's our pack for now. But let's go ahead and jump right in to our discussion. So the new set, Throne of Eldraine. Jonathan, tell me about this set. What do we know?
What I'm excited for is this is going to be a mix of kind of like the old Lorwyn feel with some additional like Grimm's fairy tale fantasy. There's some beautiful artwork that comes out every time Seb McKinnon does something. It gets really cool. He did a really cool piece of artwork. Maybe we can flash it. That has the the Planeswalker symbol. It looks beautiful. I'm really pumped for it. Lorwyn was a fun set. I liked the feel.
Is this a Lorwyn set? Do we know that? Or
it is not Lorwyn.
It's not Lorwyn. Okay.
100% confirmed by Morrow. It's not a Lorwyn set, but they're going back to feel some of those themes. I think what what I had read was that they felt trapped by maybe the tribal feeling and all of the things that happened if you read the story.
So Lorwyn, but non-tribal Lorwyn was that like a good?
Yes. So don't worry about tribes. Just think about like King Arthur. With the gingerbread man.
Yeah, I did see there was a gingerbread man art. We'll put that up here.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that looks
tasty.
Really good. It looks very tasty. Yeah.
He looked kind of unhappy. His face was melting.
Because he's tasty and somebody was eating him.
Okay.
So new set, cool. But with the new set, there is going to be a change to booster packs. So with this new set, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's going to be the regular booster packs, which are now called draft boosters.
Yes.
So draft booster is now the normal name for booster pack, basically. But there's also going to be these collector booster packs. So what is a collector booster pack? What do I get if I get a collector booster pack? And how do I get a collector booster pack?
Well, they're going to be a limited print run just around when the set releases. They are going to be a premium price. I think $20. Is that what we saw?
I think I saw 20 to 25.
Yes.
Was what I had heard.
They're going to have all sorts of special things. The draft booster is basically just the same thing we've always had.
Okay.
But the collector booster is going to have all of these extra showcase cards. They're going to have borderless planeswalkers and just kind of some weird, like not really weird, but like harder to find cards. Some of like the Buy a Box promo will be available. Some planeswalker deck cards will be available. Brawl cards, all of which is really cool. We've seen recently Wizards do a ton trying to get making boosters more fun to open. We talked about foil tokens in Modern Horizons, which I loved.
Yeah, so we obviously already have fun opening boosters, but this is kind of like boosters on a whole nother
This is
level.
just extra.
They've done things like this in the past a little bit. Remember with like Shards of Alara, they had like
the foil
foil packs.
Yep. And so I pulled this up here while you were talking, and that's kind of what we're getting. So there's a list that they have of what's going to be in the collector booster packs, and it's one rare mythic extended art card. So that's different than a foil.
Yes.
That would be like the box topper cards, right?
Yep.
Okay. So then one foil rare mythic card. So you're guaranteed a foil rare or foil mythic. 9 foil commons and uncommons. So this is kind of just like a foil pack, basically. That's a lot of foils. 3 showcase frame cards. So that's something new. I think they've talked about what that is. It's basically a card, but with a special frame. Is that right?
Right. And so
White border?
No.
No.
No, that would be
So not
they would
that
be
special.
monsters.
Not that
Not that
special,
special.
no.
They talked about how it's going to be similar to. It feels like a masterpiece where
Okay.
they had these different frames and they were cool and they were foiled and they were really good collectors. As someone, we have a cube, so
Okay.
we've got a lot of those slotted in there. So these new showcase frames, though, are going to be different for every set. Again, that's cool. I think. Like, I'm all about that.
So really just more special cards with something to make the cards more collectible, more
Right.
or less, is
Which-
what we're getting. Okay.
I think that's great. So we've got some legacy
Yeah.
cards like that we've had for a long time that are worth a lot of money. I don't care necessarily if my collection value tanks. I just want to be able to play with
Okay.
a bunch of cool different cards. I want other people to be able to play Magic, and so we have these premium products like these collector boosters that ideally, because there's more in the market, even though you're paying more for them, it should hopefully make it so that more people have access to the cards they want to play, which I think is always a good thing.
So you think there's going to be more cards just in the market in general with the collector boosters than
Right.
without?
Yep.
Okay.
And hopefully that drives down. And now it's a little bit weird because normally we'd see these masterpieces come in sets like Zendikar or
Yep.
Kaladesh, which was great, and people bought a ton of regular boosters to get these cards. Now they're in the collector booster, so they're not going to be cracking regular packs to get access to them. So we'll kind of see how it affects supply levels, but I don't think it's a bad thing because it gives someone like us who we play singleton formats, and this is really appealing to me because it lets me customize and kind of do the things I want to do and pick the best art.
It does kind of sound like, though, people might be opening regular boosters less. So would that not mean just less of a supply in general of the set and just more of these, special cards?
It's definitely possible. Again, the collector boosters, if I'm reading correctly, were a limited time thing. They're not going to be available to purchase, all the time. It's just when the set releases.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like the Mythic edition of War of the Spark and Ravnica that they've done already.
Right, which a lot of
Okay.
people are reading and talking about how those releases haven't been great. I know I've gotten some. I got one. You got...
We all tried to get them at least
one of what?
once.
You got
On
those.
the Mythic boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got two.
Yeah. So
So you were able to get some. So you had success with that.
we are
Okay.
definitely on the happy, successful side where other people aren't. Sorry, bud.
That's okay.
You've got your mythic sheet
I
up
do.
over here.
Yep, I do.
But it releases some of that tension where we're trying to all get on eBay and buy something
Okay.
that's super limited and things get messed up. So
So-
overall, I'm really excited for the collector boosters. Donnie, I know you haven't had a chance to think about them a lot. What's your initial hot take?
I think it's gonna kind of annoy people who just draft everywhere like I do. Just because they're gonna open a card. Maybe it's the most expensive card in the set, but that value of the card is probably going to get cut a certain percentage because these other packs exist where it's foil or it's full art or something like that. So
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to stop me from drafting, obviously, but I think it takes a little bit away of oh my god, I opened this card, it's so good, it's worth so much money. But in hindsight, now it's probably not as worth as much as it should have been.
So it might kind of take away from the excitement of opening a regular booster pack. So like you said, one of the reasons that they wanted to do the collector booster pack was to make opening packs more fun or more exciting. So now you have these collector boosters, but maybe because of that, opening a regular booster now, even if you get a foil rare, that's really not that exciting because you could just go get a collector booster and there's already going to be a foil rare in there. So maybe that makes regular boosters less exciting as a side effect.
I think that's fair. The other thing that they did do, though, is they've got the alternate art borderless planeswalkers. They've got the showcase cards. Those are still available in the draft boosters. I think what you're really
Okay.
missing is the extended art cards are
Okay.
only available in the collector's boosters. I think foil tokens and some of the other, like I said, the buy box promos, the brawl, the planeswalker cards. But what's nice, and I think people keep people cracking packs, is that you can still get the showcase and the borderless planeswalkers in the draft booster. Now I'm not sure what the rate is though. If it's the Japanese War of the Spark boxes where it's half the
Ever.
time it's going to replace.
Right.
We don't. I don't think we have any data to show what that might be, but.
So really, they're adding a ton of different stuff to this set and to each set of packs. Extended art, full art, foils, showcase, there's just a ton of new stuff to look for in this. Basically, is kind of the bottom line.
Yeah, and overall, I think it's great. I think
that's cool.
I think the theme, like, what did you guys think? Like, Nathan, you played during Lorwyn. Well, you did too, Donnie. What did you guys?
Not really.
What do you guys remember about Lorwyn? Like, are you excited about the fantasy themes coming back?
Yeah, Lorwyn block is one of my favorite blocks in all of Magic, and I really like the fantasy, tribal, goblins, fairies type stuff.
Kithkin?
You know what I mean? And Kithkins, yep.
Yes, that is the
that's
tribe everybody remembers from Lorwyn. Kithkin, not fairies.
I remember Kithkin.
You remember Kithkin. But yeah, that is a big one for me. That is what I really liked about Lorwyn, and I am excited for this set because, like you said earlier, I think it kind of is like a throwback to Lorwyn. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be really cool. I think there's a lot of fun stuff to look for with all of these new card frames, card arts, foil packs, and stuff like that. So I think it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Donnie, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna draft with the super expensive.
You want to draft with
packs.
the collector packs? I'm sure you can find 700.
I'm gonna wear a
people
crown and like have like a giant cape and like all like 10 rings, so that
You can be fabulous.
you're opening up like these foil packs. You gotta
You're gonna have to wear some
you
gloves.
can't act like some random guy off the street. You gotta act like a king when you're opening these packs.
And one of the cards from the booster packs, we missed this in our description of the pack, is the ancillary card. I think you touched on that, and that is basically, from my understanding, just going to be one card from a list of like 120 more or less reprints. And it's kind of up to Wizards' discretion what that slot is going to be.
Right.
So that could be a Tarmogoyf, could be Jace the Mind Sculptor, could be whatever.
I wasn't
right?
clear. I thought they said they were all going to be all the ancillary cards would be standard legal.
They would be standard legal. Okay,
at least to begin, because again, and that
okay.
goes back to the buy a box promos, the brawl cards, the planeswalker deck cards. The key factor on this though is that these would be ways to get some of them non-foil for the first time. So Nexus of Fate is all
It's
foil.
only foil.
You can only get it in foil. And now
Okay.
I can go back to like when we played Legacy, there would be people who have there's issues if you play with just a couple foils in terms of whether that's a pattern for marked cards, where now because they're going to be available in non-foil versions, that might be some value added for some people.
Okay. So non-foil Nexus of Fate. That's what everybody's after.
It would honestly, if Nexus of Fate is in there, which I don't think it will because it'll be
Okay,
rotating, but
sure.
an interesting thing is it might be one of those things where a non-foil Nexus of Fate is rarer than a foil Nexus of
foil.
Fate, so you have to pay a premium for a non-foil version of a card.
Interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see exactly how that plays out. So, but still very cool. And you could have these non-foil versions in your collector booster pack draft that you want to do with your rings and your.
And that's what you want, Donnie?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. All right, so moving on. M20. So we've done 2 boxes already. They were good. They were
I think
pretty
they were
decent.
really good.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because if you looked at the spreadsheet, the initial value is really mostly tied up for M20 in Leyline of the Void, which hey, we got replication on it. We got 2 of them, so
We
that's
got 2
great.
from a single box, didn't we?
Yeah, so that's really good. That and the Mythic Chandra. We haven't seen in terms of what's seen play. Have we seen any big breakout cards from the set really?
Other than Field of the Dead, which we joked about being in a Scape Shift combo deck in our video, which I edited like a couple days ago. Turns out that was real. That's
And
Again-
it's probably, I would say, by far and away, the best deck in the format currently.
And
Okay,
I
then.
love hyped up statements, so I'm definitely going to encourage that. Best deck in the format, nothing's going to come close. It's only here for a couple months with rotation.
correct.
But
It could still be a deck, you just won't have the Scape Shift combo portion, which arguably is the best
maybe
part
they
of the
reprint
deck. But
Scape
Like,
Shift.
maybe they
end
reprint
of
Scape
turn,
Shift.
being able to scape shift with your Teferi
Yeah.
is like, and because you have Teferi in play, they can't respond in your turn either. So it's just it's just over.
So pretty cool. Other than that, I don't know if anything has been crazy. The dinosaur, the not an Aetherflash dinosaur.
Yes.
Um,
is seen in that Jund standard dinosaurs deck.
What about the black
Yeah.
dinosaur?
The
yep,
Rotting Regisaur.
Rotting Regisaur too.
All of those are good cards. They haven't seen a ton of price movement though.
Yeah, I think you have kind of the same issue. Is that deck is only going to be good for
A couple months. Nobody wants to invest in something that is going
Right.
to, largely
Yeah.
rotate. So.
From my sheet right in front of me here, Rotting Regisaur still only about $3. So, a card that's big in a big deck, really not seeing any movement.
I think
So.
the green elemental mythic rare guy.
The Thorn.
I think
Th-
you're going to see.
Cavalier of
I think
Thorns.
you're going
Yeah,
to see
Thorns.
more play of that deck.
And he is up there
of that
with
card.
in probably the top 10 in price, about a little over $10, which he kind of saw some upward movement. He didn't start quite that high.
No,
I don't
he's-
think any of the Cavaliers did. So that would have been a good one to
I
kind
would
of
look
buy
for that
into.
card to go up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of other cards,
Maybe not a lot, but a little bit.
other cards that might go up, we actually spec'd on a good number
Yep.
of M20 cards
We
that we're
have
going to go over.
We have a whole list of specs here, so we'll start with mine here. Elvish Reclaimer. So far,
It hasn't gone up.
I see a nice downward sloping line.
So
on
time to
this
buy.
graph.
Buy low, sell high.
Time to buy, yeah. So I still kind of hold that this card. I think this card is probably better than the $1.77 I currently see it listed as. It's a 1 mana 1/2 that gets bigger, and it's not that hard. You only need 3 lands in your graveyard, and it has a relevant ability. It lets you search for land, any land card.
It's a crop
by
rotation.
Yeah, it's a crop rotation on a dude. Yeah.
I would think about buying it as an investment card just because all it takes is like 1 or 2 lands in the next set or the next set or the next set to make this card like crazy expensive just because just get that any land.
I guess
Yeah.
what I like about it too, so
Dark
maybe
Depths. They could put
Dark-
Dark,
Oh,
they could put
my
Dark
God.
Depths.
Maybe we'll put
And
Dark
Thespian
Depths
Stage.
in that
Yeah.
ancillary slot in
Yeah.
the collector booster pack.
I like it even beyond just like a standard role player. I think the good news about a card like this is it's only ever going to get better
True,
as they print
yes.
more utility lands, which is very obviously
Which
like
they haven't
big
done for a
statement.
while, so they might do,
Yeah.
Sure.
Like man lands. They haven't done that.
We'll see what happens. I think this could be modern playable. Maybe not as a 4 of. Maybe we haven't found the right shell for it. As a 2 of, like a late game value engine, we're seeing games go a little bit longer. I would say.
Okay.
In modern, again, we see Hogak. Yes,
Hogak.
yes.
Hogak.
Turn 2 Hogak is a really long
Yeah.
game.
On the day we're filming, it is day two of the Mythic Championship 4 just wrapped up.
Yep.
And we definitely saw some people get Hogak'd.
So there's a lot of Hogak. So this is probably not. This is not really. This can't really compete with Hogak.
No, but it's
Not
just,
right now, anyway.
Right, it's just one of those cards that I feel like down the line it has some.
Actually, you
Some
know what it
opportunity.
could. You could turn 1, play this guy. Turn 2, go find.
Tron.
Nope. That's not it. The black one that exiles their graveyard.
Bajuka Bog.
Bajuka Bog. You can go get Bajuka Bog. That's pretty good against
I mean,
Hogak.
that would anything that bogs down the Hogak.
Darren
player.
says no.
That's
I
fair.
mean, you have so many answers in modern.
Right.
That are just faster.
Like,
Surgical Extraction.
yeah, but then you have an Elvish Reclaimer that maybe is a 3/4.
Yeah.
Who
Anyways,
knows? It's something. It does something.
I don't think the ship has sailed on Elvish Reclaimer. yet.
Definitely not. I mean, it's sailing down right now.
I
we
think
want it
I
to
think
sail up.
I think you're gonna see it maybe being played in standard, but not. I don't see it in modern.
All right.
Okay, fair enough. Next one. Now this is the one that we actually got right.
Yes.
Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. So the middle Chandra in the series of 3 that they printed in M20. We got in on this card at like
250?
250, I think. Almost went up to 8, kind of settled at around 7, little less than 7. So we definitely did okay on this card. So why did everybody write this off? Let's start there. Why did this start at $2
So
or $2.50 or whatever?
why did it get down there? I think part of
Yeah.
the issue is you look at that first plus ability
Yeah.
and you're like, this is not the most
Plus.
exciting.
And
Yeah.
it's really not a plus. It's a 0
Right.
ability.
Um,
So not exciting.
It-
Is
yeah,
that what you would say?
That's
Is that
right.
it?
And then
Okay.
the second one, which is a 0 ability, which I really think you normally would expect to see this at, like, 2 years ago, I think that would have been a -1 ability to
Putting
make 2
two
elementals that you
into
have to
play.
sack.
Okay.
Now it's just a 0. The most important thing, and this is where what I was in, like what sold me on the card,
Yep.
a 3 mana that lets you flashback is probably value. If you get 2 out of it or more,
Sure.
that's just a ton of stuff you can do. Obviously, with elementals, it's got some synergy there.
Risen Reef.
Risen Reef, yep, that has been a big one from M20. Again, I'm waiting for rotation, I think, for a lot of these. Scape Shift, as Darren said, is very powerful, and it's just more powerful than this, obviously, at the moment.
Yeah.
That being said,
Okay.
Scape Shift sees play in a lot of formats, so I
Yeah.
mean other formats. So,
So this is good. So is this at home at like $7?
I told myself originally if it got up to 10, we'd sell completely out. We'd
Yeah.
clear our copies of it. We didn't bring it up. Elvish Reclaimer, Nathan, really quick. What do you think is the top end of that card?
$20.
Okay.
I think $8.
Realistic.
I think solid.
$8.
I think that card
Okay,
is an $8 card.
That's an $8. Okay,
I'm gonna go with 5.
Okay.
8 to 5.
So,
I can live with that.
where
You'd
do we
still-
think-
You'd still make a lot of money if you buy them at 177.
Yeah, you would.
What do we think? Where are we thinking Chandra's top end is? Like I said, I still think it's a $10 rare.
I am actually going to, I think, kind of back down on this one. I was in the same $10 boat originally. I think that it's probably right at home around $7.
Okay.
I think that that's a good
Yeah.
spot for this card.
I mean, reading the card, its first 0 ability is, which it says doesn't affect the board. Its second ability says doesn't really affect the board. But its third ability is a flashback, which people wrote off on the 2 mana Jays that flips.
Finn's Prodigy, yeah.
Vern's Prodigy. They totally wrote off that card, but that card turned out to be completely busted, and it was like a $70 card at one point. So just the fact that its first 2 abilities to me aren't that great, but its real power is in the flashback.
Okay.
So
What do you think the top end ceiling for it is?
Probably 8.
Okay.
Probably
I'm gonna go with
8. So
8.
we're close.
So we're getting close to that. Okay.
It's been to 8. It's seen the promised land and kind of came down from there. So
I think that's just because
I think all it
Escape Shift
needs,
is just
I think all it needs is a
runes.
deck to play it more or less, and you'll probably see it at 8 or higher.
Okay.
Our next one here, the Green Leyline, one that we haven't even gotten yet. 2 boxes, haven't seen one. I've done probably 8 or so packs for Daily Pack of the Day, and haven't seen one yet. So this is a kind of an elusive one here. I like this card. I think it's extremely situational, obviously, but it is part of a pretty interesting combo
for Modern,
for Modern
the Blue Enchantment.
with Blue Enchantment, freed from the real.
Yep.
And including Birds of Paradise or Noble Hierarch, you can basically make
And the most common one is the what they like to do is the colorless green, the 0/3 hexproof plant
Sylvan
wall.
Creatid?
Yeah,
okay,
just because that has hexproof. So
sure,
they'd rather just wait a turn.
okay,
To get
but
infinite
you
mana.
can do it on turn 2.
You can enchant it on turn 2, but you can't. Well, you can't. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do it on turn 2.
You can go off on turn 2
But
with
you
the
are-
Bird or Noble Hierarch.
You can get gut shotted.
You can. Or you could kill your opponent with an infinitely large flying Birds of Paradise.
Seems good.
Fuck.
In any case,
Or get fogged.
we haven't opened any. We did purchase some of these. We're sitting on them. We got in around, I think, 240.
Yeah, I think that realistically, I think this is a great commander type card.
yeah,
I mean, it obviously it interacts with creatures that make mana. It has a mana sink ability on it. Those are all good commander things.
Yep.
I think that this is probably going to be a little better than the $2 whatever it's currently at.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that there is definitely going to be some upward movement on this one. I think it's a little early. I think it's kind of at that point where people aren't really playing it because they're like, they're just writing it off, you know?
Right.
But I think people will realize that it doesn't completely suck eventually.
And if it finds like a reasonable combo home in standard, I think
Right.
it skyrockets. But
Sure.
that's
Well,
a very
they
specific set of.
They try not to make infinite combos in Standard. I say they try, but
Yeah.
Nexus of Fate.
it's not an infinite combo, John.
It feels
It's not
infinite when
labeled-
they.
It's not
feels
labeled as an infinite combo.
Also, though, it is still kind of a janky combo.
Yes.
let's be real. The combo itself is very janky. But I think there's options there.
Yep.
So our next one that we have here, Legion's End. This is yours.
Yes, this is my card.
This is your baby.
I bought it
and-
in a buck, and we've lost some steam from there. But I'm gonna throw this out here. So it's a 2-mana sorcery that exiles a creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 2 or less,
Yep.
and all other creatures with the same name. That player then reveals their hand and exiles all cards with the same name in their hand and graveyard.
So
It's
Okay.
So here's the thing. It's got a specific application. When you need this card, it'll be the best card. I think we're gonna look into a format maybe in the fall, again with rotation, where the removal suite is changing. This, I think, has an opportunity to be an important part of it. There's a lot of cards, even in Modern, that if you could exile them, would be big game. We talk about Gravecrawler, Bloodghast.
okay.
It is a bit of
So you're thinking that this is like a good anti graveyard strategy, like an anti dredge type.
it could be.
Type
I just
of a
think
card.
at 2 mana, if it was an instant speed, everybody all about it. And I think
Sure.
people are losing that it's a unique removal ability for 2 mana. It's an efficient answer.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's fair. So right now, according to the internet, sitting at about 60 cents. So
We're gonna get
the
there.
internet has not quite caught on.
Darren did not believe in this.
I'm still not believing.
So,
at all.
Darren is a
Like-
no on this
like,
one.
I would expect this thing to actually fall.
I think
60 cents is said it's high.
I did tell Darren that when this card goes to the moon, I would buy him dinner.
You say you were gonna bring it against like decks with Bloodghast, but you just play Grafdigger's Cage, and that affects all of their cards in their whole deck. Where this card affects just one card. It's just a 1-for-1. Where Grafdigger's Cage is like their whole deck for one.
Just better.
We'll
Fair enough.
see.
Okay. Our next one. This is one that you are kind of speculating for the future on
Yes.
this one. Starfield Mystic.
Yep. I think it's an efficient beater for 2 with some synergies down the line. Originally, I really felt like we haven't had an Enchantment Matter set around for a while.
Sure.
Theros? Is that what that is?
Theros was
Yep.
technically Saga, Urza Saga, but I think it was Enchantment, even though everybody remembers it for the artifacts.
Right.
But I think this is a card that it feels like a plant. I'm going to hold to it that it's a plant. There's a lot of enchantments in Fairy Tales, and so maybe
Sure. Yeah.
we'll see. Again, I bought it in for about 50 cents, and it's a 2-mana 2/2
Still
with
about
maybe
50
some.
cents.
Yeah, it's still about 50 cents, with maybe some upside. So we'll see.
Okay. After seeing the kind of the initial spoiler for Throne of Eldraine, are you more or less convinced that it's going to be an enchantment type set?
I am. Can I be the same?
Sure, absolutely.
I still think it's like 50-50.
50-50. Okay. Could be, could not be. All right, let's keep it going here. Our next one. This is my favorite. Lotus Field. This card is bad. This is a bad card. You should not play this card. We're looking at the Goldfish price history. Price high, $25. That's mind-blowing to me. Lowest price, $6.50, which it's currently at, which I still think is too high.
Where's the base, Nathan?
I think that this, now kind of having more time to think about it, I think this is a solid $5 card. You and I had talked about this. Yes, it has synergies. Yes, it's great in decks that interact with
Untapping target lands.
untapping lands or graveyard strategies. Ren and 6 is a great example.
Treachery.
Treachery.
It's good with Treachery.
You know what? Nailed it.
So it does have some synergistic applications, but at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't really fix your mana because you're
all the same color.
sacrificing multiple lands to get a land that only makes a single color. Granted, it is whatever color, but that's not going to cast you multicolored spells. And
It's gonna help you cast that prime time though.
it could, sure.
Amulet Titan. I said it's gonna be
So,
a good card in Amulet.
After I was thinking about it, I did have that thought this morning. This probably, if it finds a home, is going to find its home in Amulet Titan because it makes 3 mana. You will end up having to sacrifice another land to make it work, but having double amulet plus this is like a ton of mana. So does it work there? Probably. Is that the only place it works? I think so.
Works really great in EDH if you're playing Lord Winggrace. It feels like such value.
Exactly. So like I said, there are definitely
foil versions.
There are definitely applications. If you're gonna pick them up, get them foil, because it's probably gonna be mostly commander type things that this card is good in.
Okay.
But those are my thoughts. I hated that this card started so high because I instantly was like, this is bad. Why would anybody want this?
I think I'm only going to disagree a little bit. I think this is a solid $7 card.
Okay, so you think it's pretty much right at home, right?
I think it's at home where it's at, and it strictly is a casual card. Sure, we'll find a niche for it somewhere in a competitive deck, but I think even as just a casual staple, there's a lot of EDH players in the world. I don't know how much M20 is going to get open, so I would sit around $7. I think it's fairly priced.
As it goes for someone who has nothing to lose, I'm going to say it's a $25 card.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And everyone should buy it.
So those are our thoughts on M20. It's a good set. As far as core sets go, I think it's fine.
I always hated drafting core sets because they were so boring, but I've drafted this set a few times and I've liked it.
So as far as core sets go, it could definitely be worse than M20.
And maybe I think the hard part for me when I think about this set is we went from War of the Spark, which was absolutely amazing. I liked the limited format for War of the Spark.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I really liked all the cards. It felt like we had so much. And if you look at it, there's a ton of power in the set. Yes. We talk about Narset. We talk about Teferi. We talk about Dreadhorde Arcanist. Karn. There's all of these cards that had such a huge impact. And then you go from that and you go to Modern Horizons, where you see Wrenn and Six, you see Urza, you see Hexdrinker, you see... There's all sorts of like these really Prismatic Vista.
The lands.
Arkham's Astrolabe.
Arkham's Astrolabe, yep.
I just feel like we had two sets that were super good, and...
Then M20.
And then M20. And maybe that's just the core set feeling, or... I disagree. Maybe I don't disagree, because when I think about core sets that were exciting... When was the original Titans printed? That was an exciting core set. I feel like I was going to be critical, the Cavalier cycle does not feel nearly as cool or as exciting as the Titan cycle.
Yeah, they're definitely not as powerful. I think they might be a little better maybe because of that, because they're not just auto includes in every cube and every EDH or commander deck, but they might still find a home, and they are kind of on theme with the set. The set has a very heavy elemental theme
and knights
and knights, so they kind of are on par with that, I think. But I think you're right, and I think the problem that this set is facing as far as being exciting is exactly what you said. It's coming off of probably two of the better sets in the past however long you want to go back, but two extremely solid sets, and then you kind of get a core set, which in and of itself is not that exciting. But I think if you can get past that, I think that this is more one of the better core sets.
Do you think it's better? Core 20 or Core 19 had the Elder Dragon Highlanders dragons come back, Arcades Sabbath.
It did.
Is there anything? And again, not all of them are even that great, but I thought that cycle with Nicol Bolas, Arcades, Vivictus, who are the other ones? I thought that was more exciting than any cycle we got in Core 20. So for me, I guess I would go back to C19 and say that even the EDH implications of that with that cycle of dragons felt cooler than Yarick, Kethis, like all the EDH cycle of generals we got this time.
I guess that's fair.
You got Skelemental, though.
Skelemental was in Modern Horizons.
That was in Modern Horizons.
Yeah, well, whatever this one.
Yorick. Yeah, Yorick is fun, right. But I do feel like he's not as exciting as some of the.
I'm gonna actually. I'll take the opposite side of that, and I'll say those are more exciting, and that the dragons that they brought back were basically just kind of fan service. Because Nicol Bolas is the only one that's really any value. All the other ones are like $1. So clearly nobody's really looking to pick them up.
And I do have an Arcades deck, so maybe I'm biased
Sure.
because
Sure. Oh yeah, that's true. Arcades is up there.
Couldn't even
but-
name the other ones outside of Nicol and Arcades, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think on the whole, it's fine. It's very on par for a core set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is probably all you can really ask for.
I always think about War of the Spark and how if some of those cards were in different sets, how much value they would really carry. But because of this set was open so much that the value of like certain rares and mythic rares actually got watered down. So like a
Fair.
10-color rare in this set, like Teferi, I think he's around 12 or 13 right now. But if he was printed in any other set that wasn't open as nearly much as this set, if he would be like a $30 card.
Yeah, potentially. Cool. So I'm 20. So let's move it back a little bit to Modern Horizons.
Yeah, let's take a refresh
So
on
we
this.
did
All the way back to Alpha, actually.
So we opened a lot of boxes of Modern Horizons for us anyway. I think we did 5 total boxes
Yeah.
of Modern Horizons, and we still have more coming.
Yep. I think we're sitting on 2 of... Me and Nathan are
Probably
both sitting on a box.
Probably end up sitting on 2. I might end up just adding mine to my Instagram packs of the day. Not sure yet. We're gonna see. But that was a great set.
It succeeded on feeling like Time Spiral 2. It succeeded on like some nostalgia feelings for Yawgmoth, for Urza.
Yep. The fan service kind
Yep.
of cards.
I know a lot of people really enjoyed the draft format of it. I did not, personally. That's just because I don't know.
Okay.
I just didn't.
So drafting not so great.
No, it was.
It was okay.
I would say the
Okay.
majority, like everybody I talk to, like I don't take my personal opinion as to be like the opinion to listen
Okay,
to, but
fair.
most people I've talked to really enjoyed it, and so
Okay.
I think if you talk to most people, they're going to say
They would say it was good. Okay, that's fair.
If you had to pick a favorite card out of Modern Horizons,
Oof, I wasn't ready for that.
mine's super
I'm gonna
super
Is
easy.
it a ninja?
I'm gonna cheat here.
I do love Fallen Shinobi. That's probably my favorite EDH card. In terms of actual card that I think is the most exciting, the most interesting, it's a little bit of a boring answer. Red and 6
the Big Daddy.
honestly makes me want to play Modern. Like, it makes me want to like get back into a competitive format, constructed format.
He does all the things that you like. You
Yeah.
are big time land
And Graveyard
lands
and-
matter type player.
There's been some like, so on like a dumb level, I've seen Life from the Loam, like Seismic Assault lists that play him in Modern, which is sweet. But also, he's just really cool. I'm really excited about it. He pushes the boundary for what we expect out of a 2-mana Planeswalker.
Yeah, how many 2-mana planeswalkers do we really even have?
The only other one I can
Friends.
think of is
Kind of. Friends.
Tybalt, which is a really bad the original Tybalt that was
Okay.
2 mana that was really awful.
So realistically, the 2-mana planeswalker slot is kind of
There's not a ton of
not really
competition.
explored
Jace Friends
there.
Prodigy,
Yeah,
kind of.
kind
Sort
of.
of.
Yeah, okay. So close.
But I think that's probably my favorite card out of the set.
Okay.
It's just the whole thing is cool. My honorable mention is Plague Engineer. I just think that's a really nicely designed card.
For sure.
Yeah, you're not Hogak?
Not Hogak.
Not a Hogak. He's made of people, by the way. I'm gonna go with Yawgmoth for mine. Almost strictly flavor based. The Thran is actually one of my favorite Magic novels. This is a mega throwback here. But it's actually a fairly decent book just in and of its own right. And Yawgmoth is one of the coolest villains in all of Magic history. So I think it's really cool that we finally have a Yawgmoth card. Obviously, it's not Yawgmoth, the gigantic poisonous cloud demon from Dominaria, but still, it's pretty cool. So I really like that. I like the flavor. I like how they did it. I think that's great.
Honorable mention.
Honorable
I'm going to go
mention.
with the Horizon Land cycle.
Okay.
As you're excited. That's the
Yeah,
one you love the most.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I like
'cause
that.
Talk about efficiency.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great cards.
They are good. They're very good. So let's talk about that for a second. Why do you think that Horizon Canopy is still Horizon Canopy really hasn't lost a lot of value with this set? Do you think that we're just kind of waiting on that, or do you
Because
think
there's
it's...
not that many of them.
Okay.
There's not nearly as many as
Not
ones.
nearly
I would
as
assume.
many. Okay.
Would assume.
Do you think the color combination has anything to do with it too? Green, white versus the enemy
I
colors?
think so.
Okay.
Just because there's not as much card advantage in that. It's the same reason why the red ones are both seeing a lot of play.
So green, white is strictly the color combo that really needs the card draw.
Green,
you think?
white, red, white.
Okay.
Red, blue is... There's just a lot of Izzet decks in the world. So
Okay. I think that's
that
fair.
one's seen some play, but... When you compare that to other colors and their card advantage engines, you look at green has, it's kind of weird, but harmonized.
Yeah.
They've always had kind of recursive, and so maybe it's not strict card advantage, but I mean the green card advantage engine I think of is
what's the 5 mana sorcery that draws cards equal to power? Soul's
Majesty.
Soul's Majesty.
From Shards of Alara.
Draw cards.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the Horizon lands are sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
Right for a reprint. So
excellent. And then obviously there's a ton of other good cards that you could have picked. First Sliver is
sweet.
Obviously awesome.
Is anyone gonna pick Hogak?
I'm not gonna pick Hogak. Somebody might
in
pick
a
Hogak.
vacuum. I think it's a sweet card.
Yeah.
And then you see what
people are doing with it.
Right.
And maybe the answer is Vengevine. I don't know. But
excellent. So
I'm gonna go with Prismatic Vista as my single card. But
okay, that's fair. I like Prismatic Vista too. Prismatic Vista was one of the ones that as soon as the set came out, I said this is gonna be a played card. People are gonna play this, and there was a lot of hate actually.
People were like, it's not even gonna see EDH play. I remember comments like that, and it's just like you guys are nuts
on Reddit and things like that. People saying this.
I read today all the comments about when Hogak was released, and that was
whoever
hilarious.
made that Reddit post 10 out of 10. All of the Hogak.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna see if I can find all of the posts that I can about Prismatic Vista and Hogak and how terrible they are.
Well, someone already did with Hogak.
They did the Hogak.
They did the Hogak already.
You should look at
I'm gonna go do Prismatic Vista.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find those ones where they said not even Commander playable and say, sure it is. All right, so we actually have 2 cards to talk about here that you kind of picked out. We already started Hogak. I guess we can kind of finish there.
Is there anything else we wanted to see? So I remember he got really high. He started to go down. He bottomed out at around $5. And then he's starting to rise again, which is what we would expect.
because of the Pro Tour or
the Mythic Championship.
So obviously we lost Bridge from Below, which was kind of the engine for the Dredge decks. So
which I thought was fair.
So what are they doing now with Hogak without that
still
working?
playing it on turn 2.
So there seems to be kind of 2 different ways people are approaching it.
Okay.
One of which is the Hedron crab list.
Worst way.
I do think I like it less, but basically you just mill yourself with Hedron crab and landfalls, and that will.
Okay.
You'll notice how Hogak doesn't have any blue color.
Right. I was gonna say that doesn't really help cast him, and it seems a little janky. I'm not gonna lie.
And then the other way is just a little bit more traditional. Both lists play Stitcher Supplier, and a lot of them also play. It's the Wayfinder. Satyr.
Yes. Yeah,
Satyr.
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, Satyr.
Whatever.
Don't be a hater. Be a satyr.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Crusader.
But those are the kind of the 2 different ways we've seen it. I've also seen traditional Dredge lists playing. Sometimes it's just a singleton, or sometimes it's 2 copies of Hogak, just because sometimes you just fall into an 8/8 trample.
And you just win.
I do like it. I think they're interesting. I honestly thought we thought the deck would stick around. It just would be really bad, but it turns out it's just as fast.
It might even just be better without Bridge from Below.
Yeah.
And maybe not better, but just a different type.
So it made
of deck.
it made it worse in Dredge, but it made another deck still just because it didn't matter.
Or
Just
just
it wasn't
like
playing Bridge Below in the first
Honestly, maybe it's better. It's more resilient to graveyard hate, at least from what we've seen on stream, because people are able to control their graveyard a little bit better. I felt like with Bridge, you just shoved it all in there as fast as possible.
So now it's just kind of like a mid-range graveyard matters type deck.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
I like when you say
That can play
mid-range,
through
but
it.
it's still playing on turn 2.
Right.
That's my mid-range deck. Turn 2.
Turn 2 mid-range deck. Great. Great. Okay, so Hogak. Still good.
It's still good. Do you think, based on our obviously modern expert opinions, do you think we're gonna see another ban for it? It only got 1 into the top 8. Again, we haven't seen how it's gonna
Vengevine. Are they gonna ban Hogak?
People on Reddit, again, the geniuses on Reddit are
They're all
telling
so
us
smart.
that maybe you ban Hogak, unban Bridge from Below, and just say whoops. I don't think Wizards would do that. I don't think they like to say whoops.
I also don't like. Is Hogak really the problem? Like, is Hogak a problem? You know what I mean?
I would say so.
People also talk about Faithless Looting, but they talk about Faithless Looting as
Yeah,
a pillar of
Faithless
the format.
Right.
Similar to, they're never going to ban, they banned Top because it added a lot of time to Legacy, but they're never going to ban Brainstorm in Legacy.
Like, realistically, though, is a trampling vanilla 8/8 creature on turn 2 just the most unbeatable thing? Is that the most unfair thing that can happen in Modern? You know what I mean? Like, that just
It's
seems...
close.
I think the problem is the consistency.
Okay, so
They're
it's
doing it pretty consistently.
So it's consistent.
Yes.
Because again, if this happens to you 1 out of 3 games, hey, gotta get Hogacked. But if it happens to you consistently 2 or 3 games in a row,
But what happens if you do that and then your opponent just has Path to Exile or...
that's fair. It kind of goes back to the idea of it's still a creature you can interact with.
Still have Vengevines.
It can still, well, it can't be Doombladed, but
It can't be Doombladed.
it can still be Path.
Ancient Grudged. Nope.
no.
What's the...
Certainly not lightning bolt.
What's the
Maybe
Vinnic?
that's the problem. What is because the common removal spells are outside of Jund.
Assassin's Trophy. That's what
Assassin's Trophy can
Trophy.
hit it. Abrupt Decay cannot. Fatal Push cannot. Bolt can't. It's really just Path and
So maybe the problem is people are just playing the wrong
set of
removal spells, which, you know, a lot of those removal spells are just kind of tailored to the
metagame.
format.
One
Yeah.
blue unsummon. Boop.
Unsummon. Yeah, Unsummon is really good against Hogak. So maybe the problem is people just haven't adapted yet. You know, just like if, you know, Dredge comes out of nowhere and is a deck, traditional Dredge, and you don't have Graveyard Hate, yeah, of course you're going to lose to it. But what happens when your sideboard now includes graveyard cards?
I think the problem, and this is where I think we might see action, is the most
most
played
sideboards-
card at the Mythic Championship, Leyline of the Void. Some people are playing it main deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that obviously is format warping.
That's probably an issue.
But
So maybe something still needs to go.
They just...
Who
Okay,
knows?
they just ban graveyards.
Ban graveyards.
They're too good.
Make the,
Everything...
make the battlefield
everybody
great
gets
again.
a ley line of the void.
make the battlefield
make
great
the
again.
battlefield great again.
I can
Okay.
get behind that.
So Hogak, maybe a problem. Not sure yet. So
Not a
let's-
problem if they don't have graveyards.
You're right.
Just everybody gets a ley line of the void.
So we do have one other Modern Horizons card to talk about, and this is a card that we talked about as soon as the set came out. This is kind of an interesting one, and I haven't heard anything about it since then. So obviously,
Obviously, it's busted, and everybody's just keeping it a secret.
right. Throes of Chaos. Very interesting at the very least. So at the outset, this card does nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
It does nothing. So what does it actually do? So it's a 4-mana Cascade with Retrace. So what is this card good for? Why would you even play this?
If you're asking me, it's a
Yeah.
crappy version of Risk Factor.
Okay. So
That's my hot take.
So this is just not a good card, basically, is
my take. Like,
Okay.
this will not overtake any of the, in my head, I'm an older school player, any of the browbeat effects.
Okay.
So it's a 4-mana Cascade. Isn't there already a 3-mana Cascade? Because that's what the Living End deck lives off of, right?
Well, I think Nathan was talking about this in the application of burn decks.
So my thought was, why would you not want at least one copy just somewhere in your main deck? And the reason being, sure, it's, you know, you don't really want it because it's very expensive for a red deck. But once you hit 4 lands, you never really want more than 4 lands in a red deck, do you? Because that's...
I feel like 3 is what people are... That's part of my issues. I think 3 is what people are maxing at.
Exactly.
And then they start sacking their Horizon lands.
Sure. So maybe the problem is just that they have access to Horizon lands now, and this is essentially just too much mana, too much investment.
And it's really not helping you cast Hogak.
It does not help you cast Hogak.
No, will not.
My thought was, once you hit 4 lands, you're definitely not making any more land drops. Why not just have one copy so that if you get into that situation, you potentially have the ability to just retrace your next spell in your deck every single time you draw a land.
So
You know,
I think it's also worth noting, and this is why a reason you do play the card is with Retrace.
Yep.
This card doesn't cost you anything to discard it to Faithless Looting.
Right, that's
which
what I was
is-
going to go with. I was just
Exactly.
about to say, yeah. Well, I think it's a great card if you can discard it to Faithless Looting. But the other card that people want to discard to Faithless Looting is Arc-like Phoenix.
sure. But if you're able to retrace it, you've already got 2 spells for Arclight Phoenix.
You know what? I
also.
didn't really think about that, but that is a very fair
So,
point.
you know,
they talk about Finale of End being enough to get, you get
Promise.
2, or Finale of Promise, thank you,
Yeah.
to get, as itself, 2, and then it's pretty easy to have a Gut Shot or have a Lava Dart sitting in the graveyard
Yeah.
to get that 3rd spell for Phoenix.
Yeah, so Throes of Chaos plus 1 spell, that's, or, if it's in your graveyard, a single land in your hand plus any other instant or sorcery, that's
I think also
Phoenix
if
back.
you're living off the top deck in your red deck, you probably have lost the game.
sure, but, the
Because
point...
your opponent has stabilized the game.
But the point being, this could potentially give you an out in that scenario. I don't know. I still think that it's probably worth an inclusion of 1 copy, maybe 2 in a deck like that. Clearly, everyone else disagrees since its price has gone actually nowhere. I think there's even a point where it was less than a quarter. 20 cents is at one point. So, yeah, clearly nobody else really thinks that this has any value, which that's fair. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and I could be.
I do like where the card is, how the card is designed, though. I think that's... Again,
Yes.
you wouldn't see this normally, but between Cascade and Retrace, I think that's a really cool design. I like the
Yeah.
space they're in.
Yep.
And sometimes you just have to push the boundaries and see, is this playable? At 3 mana, if it ever got
I
reprinted
think at
as
3 mana, it would have been.
people would be considering it more. So.
Yeah, I think at 3 mana, it probably would have taken off. But I think you're right. I think at 4 mana, it's just a little out of reach of...
Also, sorcery kind of makes it a bummer.
It is also sorcery, and that is a bummer. But I think at instant speed, it might be a little too good, potentially.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah. So those are our thoughts. M20, Modern Horizons,
Throne of Eldraine.
Throne of Eldraine. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add? I know we went over a lot of stuff, but
I'm excited to see that the top 8 of the Mythic Championships go down tomorrow.
yeah, and maybe we'll talk about
So
that.
only
Maybe
one
we'll-
Hogak deck, 2 Jund decks. That means they're probably going to have to ban Tarmogoyf or Liliana the Veil or ban
or all of them.
some Jund cards.
Just banned all.
Because
ban all
clearly,
the
out
cards.
of
good.
all of the decks in there, Jund is the one.
Yeah,
we
do you know
have
how
to-
unfair a turn 2, 3, 4 Tarmogoyf is?
It's pretty good.
It's obviously better than turn 2 Hogak.
Clearly.
Results.
It does.
Results based.
It can be bigger. It can be bigger than Hogak. Tarmogoyf can be an 8/9.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You have to get the...
You would have to have tribal though. So if
That's
you're
the
playing
kicker.
against fairies.
or Eldrazi plays that. Isn't that one thing? Spatial Contortion, is that tribal Eldrazi?
Why are you looking at me? I don't know.
Not sure. So potentially against Tron, it can be
Eldrazi Tron specifically.
Eldrazi Tron specifically. It could be an 8/9. Perfect. So there you have it. Tarmogoyf better than Hogak. But yeah, those are our thoughts. If you want to see any of our box opening videos, check out the rest of our channel. If you want to see the financial value, kind of as we track the boxes as they sets age and as we open them, there's going to be a link in the description to that, and it kind of corresponds to all the boxes we've opened.
Correct.
You can see exactly how they line up. And again, follow our Instagram channel. You want to watch us open packs every single day. There's going to be a link to that below as well. It's at MTG or Bearclaw MTG.
Yes.
And like I said, we open packs every single day.
That's great.
Every day.
I love it. I love when we open
Every
packs.
single day. I love opening packs, which is why I think that's one of my favorite things. But if you want to see it, check it out. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
We talked about Lorwyn, and you didn't bring
Dang
up
it.
Chameleon
We talked
Colossus.
about Lorwyn and tribal cards, and I missed Chameleon Colossus. Somebody
Fired.
Somebody fire me.
Fire.